Hello YouTube! So it's been 3 days since I last uploaded a video, and since then I've done a bit of work on my game. So, there's about 4 things that I'm going to talk about, and let's get right into that. Alright, the first thing that I'm going to get into, I don't know if I touched on it in the last video, is that I finished the final little bit of the training campaign mode. So now that section is completely playable all the way through. The last section, I touched on this part in the last video, is basically a culmination of everything that you did in the parts of the training level. And it's just is a way that you can practice everything, I guess. Yeah, so now let's get into the next thing. The next thing that I want to cover is that I have made a Rallycross track for the time trials mode. So yeah, that's now in, and you can drive on a Rallycross track. It's relatively short, well, like any Rallycross track. And it doesn't utilize what I normally do for the rally time trial stages. So I had made a timer for that. But those things are only one way, and I want you to be able to drive on the Rallycross stage for as long as you want. But I still want a way that you could change your car and go back to the main menu without Alt F4ing and loading up an entirely new instance of Roblox. So what I did is I implemented a basically click to finish run button, and it just kills the player and resets the menu. You can then, from there, go back to the main menu or change your car, which is, it works, and, yeah. Now, you might be wondering what I did for the timer. The way I implemented the timer is that I use, like, Wesley 1041's timing system, which allows, it's a great timing setup for track racing, which is pretty close to what I'm doing here. So I have that set up, and it works. I made some slight changes to the way it looks, but nothing too major. Yeah, so now let's cover the next 2 bits of what I've done in the past 3 days. Alright, so the 2 things that I've added are both stages of the beginner levels. So I decided instead of making there not be 9, I'd make it be 6, because I simply don't think I can finish 9 levels and the advanced levels within the time given and have to add 2 tracks or so. Yeah, so I'm going to cover those individually right now. So the first level of the beginner stage that I did was a toge. The challenge being, well, it's not a full toge, it's actually just a short thing with 2 hairpins or whatever, but it is like in a mountainous, I guess, area. The challenge being that you have to navigate it in the dark. And it's quite a challenge, I'm not gonna lie. One thing that I did add as a bit of a Easter egg, I guess, was a tiny bit of like an Iro Hazaka jump. The second beginner level that I made was a little mudding stage. So you have to take your rally car mudding. Essentially, there's a little bit of trail, and it's covered in mud, and there's rocks, and you have to be careful, because sometimes you can't see the rocks, and you could get stuck. Yeah, it was quite enjoyable to make, and that was that. It is, pretty fun, and I might do something similar in the advanced stage, except a little more challenging, of course. Yeah, but that about covers up this week's progress, I guess. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.